going to be sent to you guys. So don't worry. So you can follow along at your own pace. The other thing is you need AWS CLI installed, and the way to check this is just run the AWS command. And if you get some sort of reply like this, AWS, then you know that you have AWS CLI installed. If you get something like unknown command, then you need to install it. All you're going to do is run the AWS configure command. And once you run this command, it's going to ask you for your ID, your secret ID, which you just created using your user. So that file that just got downloaded, go ahead and copy those values from there into this AWS configure command. That once the AWS configure is done, that will allow your Python Bodo library to have access to your AWS account in order to create and delete instances and anything else you want to do basically on your AWS account. All right, so that was just a little setup that you have to do before the app works, but yeah. Obviously, you need a key pair in order to run an EC2 instance. So if you've never ran an EC2 or you've never launched an EC2 instance before, you need to, so go ahead and launch one and just follow the steps. It's not that difficult. And eventually it's going to get to the point where it's going to ask you to create a key pair. If you've never had one before, it's going to ask you to create a key pair. If you had one before, it's just going to ask you to use your existing key pair, and that's fine. The entire point of this is you need the key pair in order for this to work. The key pair is just kind of like a security block to ensure that the right person is accessing your EC2 instance and it's not getting accessed by somebody that you don't know. Okay, so let's talk about what Bodo is. Bodo is the AWS SDK for Python developers, and the latest version of Bodo is Bodo 3. And once again, the installation process is very simple. You just have to do pip install Bodo 3. Like I mentioned before, Mac users, you might need to install pip before running the pip install command. But Bodo 3 basically has access to all the client APIs of AWS. Basically, all the APIs that AWS provides can be accessed through Bodo 3. And it's typically maps one-to-one with the service API. So there's two types of APIs. You can have the client APIs, which are low-level services, or you can have the resource APIs, which are high-level services, and these are the APIs that we're going to use. Low-level basically means very specific APIs that really doesn't matter to us. High-level is more of a broad sense. So like creation, deletion, these are all high-level APIs, and this is what we need. So I'm just going to provide an example of S3. So S3 is another service provided by Amazon, and it's just basically a storage service. And if you take a look at this code here, what we're doing is we're importing Bodo 3, we're creating an S3 resource, and we're creating a bucket within the resource. This bucket is your storage where you can store stuff. And that's really how simple Bodo 3 is. It's just creating a bucket, and then you can use that bucket however you want. This is where it gets a little complicated with EC2, but I'm going to show you guys that within the code itself. So if we go all the way to the top, let's see what my code is doing. So let's kind of run through it one function at a time. So in our main function, we're going to first start with the menu. And what the menu is just telling me to choose one of the following regions. Basically, it's taking information it needs to run. So you need to provide it a region. You need to provide it your key name, which remember you need the key as a security block so other people can't access your EC2 instances. So you need to provide the key name, as well as you need to provide the GitHub repository where your Flask application is located. There's also a folder over here where you store your Ansible, not Ansible, your EC2 key in order for AWS to be able to access it as well. So after we have all those information set, what it's going to do is it's going to try and get the image ID. So what an EC2 instance is just a computer on the cloud, right? So what does a computer need? A computer needs an operating system. This is the process of installing the operating system on that computer on the cloud. In our case, we're just using the basic Linux 2 AMI. And it's going to find that operating system and install it with our EC2 instance. Then we have our getting our VPC ID. VPC is a virtual private network on the cloud, and it's out of the scope of this project, but basically you need it to create a security group. And this is the security group by default. No traffic in or out of your EC2 box is enabled. However, we need a couple different things. We need port 80 open because, as you saw, our Flask application runs on port 80. So we need to open up port 80 so our EC2 instance can access our Flask application. The second thing is we need to SSH into our EC2 instance, and that's done through port 22. So not only are we creating the Flask application, we need to actually go into it automatically, and we need to run our Flask application. And that's the reason we have to SSH into it. That's the reason we need port 22 open. I also have port 5000 open just as a default. And then it finds that, so that will create the security group. Then it will find the ID of that security group we just created. And using all of those information, it's going to create our EC2 instance. So that was a lot, but basically creating an EC2 instance requires a couple of fields, and all those fields that it needs, we're providing it through our other functions. So these are basically helper functions which we created in order for our EC2 instance to create. Now going back to the PowerPoint, that's only up to the point where it automatically launches an EC2 instance, but that's not all we want. We want to launch the EC2 instance as well as launch our Flask app within the instance. So the way to do that is by using the Paramiko library. The Paramiko library is a pure Python interface built around SSHing networking concepts. And basically it will allow you to enter the instance within your Python code. And it will allow you to run command prompts within the Python code. So let's take a look at my SSH section of the code. So I have another function called launch app, and it's basically using Paramiko. It's taking a couple of information. So when you log into an EC2 instance, it's going to ask for your default username. You need your key, your private key as well. So I'm providing all those information so it can connect to that EC2 instance what we just created. After connection, it's going to try and execute a couple of commands. It's going to install Git, and it's going to clone our GitHub repository, which our Flask application is inside. And then it's going to run a shell script. So the shell script is very simple. It's just going to update the yum installer. It's going to install Flask, which we need to run our Flask application. And after it does all those, it's going to just run our Flask application. This is the file where our Flask application is. And following all of those things, we should have our website up and running on an EC2 instance. So I did a lot of talking. So let's just go ahead and show you guys how this works. So Python app.py. Nope, that's my Flask application. I'm going to run this file instead. So this is the Bodo 3 and the Paramiko. So before I run this, I'm just going to show you guys on my EC2 page in Amazon. I have absolutely 0 instances running right now. So nothing is running. But when I run this command, it should create the EC2 instance for me. Obviously, we need to provide it some details. So I'm going to say US East 1 is the region. My key name is Ansible. And my GitHub repository URL. So let's see if we can get that. Right here. So I'm going to copy this URL, and I'll post it on the chat for you guys as well. So you can, fork this repository and work with this code, try and figure it out. But for my code, I also need the GitHub repository. So I'm going to enter that. And after now it's going through and actually creating our EC2 instance. So if we go back to our instance tab, if we refresh, eventually we should see, here we go. This is the EC2 instance that just got created. It's in the pending state. And yeah, guys, this process does take a while simply because that's just how Amazon works. Even if you do it through them, the EC2, it does take a couple of minutes for everything to set up and launch. if you think about what we're doing here, we're launching a brand new computer on the cloud. We're installing an operating system. We're installing a bunch of files that we need. We're trying to clone our GitHub repository. Then we're running the Flask application on the instance. All of this will take some time to do. Just as if you were going to do it on your own computer, all of this will take some time. So let's let this application run, and let's give it some time. Yep, it's in the running state. So our computer is up and running, but it's probably going to install a couple things in the computer. Okay, so I think it's done now. It installed all the packages we need, and it should have ran the Flask application. So the way we can check this now is if we actually go to our EC2 instance, go ahead and get the details of it. And this is the public IP address of this instance. So if I actually copy this IP address and paste it to Google, we should see our website up and running on this instance. And here we go, guys. So yes, that was the entire workflow of how you can automate. And you saw, like, all I did was run this ec2.py file, and after running it, that I just had to provide some information, and everything was fully automated, including the launching of the application. So yeah, that about covers it for the demo section. I'm going to be handing it off to Nicholas, who's going to talk a little bit more about our company.
Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot, Sono. I'll just take a second here to share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Okay, hope everybody can see my screen. And if you can't, you just like message, let me know. Yeah, so we just kind of looking at the poll. I do know there's a bunch of people in here who are working in tech, and there's a bunch of people who are looking to work in tech. And so I'm just going to talk about kind of one of the programs we've set up through Be Cloud Ready to help people land jobs, technology field, specifically DevOps. DevOps is really popular right now, and it's yeah, it's very much like demand sided. It's crazy. So yeah, without further ado, kind of just start with the presentation. And yeah, so we've helped a lot of people break into DevOps, which has been really exciting for us. We've got some nice just testimonials and reviews. I'm sure you guys see these things all the time, so I'll kind of go over them pretty quickly. And just 1 second there, I'm just getting a quick chat message. Perfect. Okay, great. So yeah, so we kind of looked a lot at the market, and a lot like, you know, whenever one of our founders is a very senior DevOps person, and he's always trying to hire DevOps people. And like I was saying before, it can be definitely a challenge. There's not that many people who know the tools who can kind of put it all together to make a demonstration like what Sona just did. So the project that you guys saw that Sona just showed you, if you do, want to break into DevOps, one of the things I can really tell you to do. So in case I should start with kind of like what DevOps is, and in case you're not familiar, basically what Sona just did is he automated many different tasks and put them together so they're easily repeatable. So if we want to have a Flask application running on EC2, that was only a click of a button for him. So he could do that as many times as he wanted. We could have as many applications running as many servers as we wanted, really, really easily, right? And there's even more powerful tools that would allow you to manage at a higher level. So you could do many, many of those. And so the application that we're running today was a very easy kind of relaxed, or it was a very small kind of toy application. It doesn't have a lot of functionality to it, but this is a kind of thing that DevOps people are kind of doing, right? They're taking the applications that developers are building, and they're automating a lot of the work of maintaining the operating environment. So basically, if you think about any kind of application you work with that's over the internet, it both has a bunch of features which are created by developers, and also there's an operations environment where let's say the resources that it takes the compute resources, for example, the servers and things like that are being maintained. And so those are kind of the two sides of developer and operation. And DevOps together are the people who kind of it's sort of a meta job on top of that, who helps automate the workflows and kind of makes the working lives of both parties a lot better and kind of can generate a lot of values for the companies by making things more efficient. So if you guys want to break into technology market, or if you want to maybe get a better job in technology market, or kind of move in, a way that would be beneficial to you within the tech space, one of the things you could really do is you could take a program, like you could take an application like Sonu Develops Day, and you could, obviously you should work on that yourself until it becomes your project. So you understand how to deploy applications like that, because these skills of DevOps, being able to automate deployment of certain things, it's going to become one of those skills that are kind of like fundamental for working in the tech space. Right now, we have very specialized people who are doing it, but more and more, I see more and more job postings that will be like for data science, but they're going to ask you to know a little bit of DevOps. It's almost like if you GitHub, which Sona also showed today. GitHub is a tool for collaborating in technology, and I'm sure a lot of people know that here today. And maybe some people don't, so it's worth saying. But GitHub allows you to collaborate with others in technology, of course, right? And so every job within technology, like whether it's a developer, a data scientist, an operations person, a data engineer, just anything, we all need to know how to use GitHub, because that's how we collaborate with each other. It's kind of, it just crosses all of the different job titles. You have to know how to do it. And so similarly with DevOps skills, increasingly I'm seeing applications be like, okay, you might be a data scientist, but we want you to know a little bit of DevOps. You might be a developer and we want you to know quite a lot of bit of DevOps, but you're mostly going to be developing. So these kind of skills will really make you stand out, because they're skills everybody is going to want to have, and everybody's going to have in the future, and not that many people have right now. So for example, if you want to get those skills, one of the things you absolutely do is you should have it be like projects that are on your GitHub that will signal to potential employers that you can do these tasks. For example, automating, because everything that Sonu did today, we could have done um, we could have done step by step. Like you could have created the EC2 instance in the Amazon online, right? Like the Amazon console online. Um, we could have then logged in there with traditional SSH, and then we could have, I don't know, maybe copy and pasted some Python code in there. Maybe we could have cloned our GitHub repository there. But there's all these little steps that you could have done manually by themselves that he could have automated altogether, which is really, really cool, right? When you put that in a project, you show an employer that that's really going to make you stand out that way. So this is kind of like my big push about the value of having projects like that, and how like the market is going to be shifting towards it. That being, I can say for another kind of piece of it, kind of an example on top of this, is that high level DevOps people who have like all the automation tools at their fingertips, basically what they do is they do a lot of like cloud work, because before in the past systems were, on premise. Basically you'd have your servers on premise and everything, but those systems are nothing in comparison to what Amazon can offer. So all of these systems are going to the cloud, and people who can do DevOps, like high end, who can do cloud migration and stuff like that, they're paid, 150K a year plus plus plus, $100 an hour. It's really an amazing skill set to have. So yeah, so project-based learning is really the way to go, because it's going to signal to employers that you can actually do the tasks, right? So if you have a certification, well, that's a nice to have. It doesn't really tell, like for example, I'm looking at your resume and I'm thinking, do I want to hire this person? They have a bunch of certifications. Well, I know that you can read and you can repeat the knowledge that they show you on the certification exams, but can you actually build a project? Like I don't really know, right? So again, project based kind of like learning, and being able to, like, there's kind of two things, right? Is value and visibility. So if you have something that you can show with people, that's really, really great. Certification is one thing you can show, but projects so much better. So we've kind of created a program at Be Cloud Ready that gives people a lot of projects. We really want, at the end of the day, you have a really good looking GitHub profile. And again, if people don't know, GitHub is basically like where you share your code with employers and other people. It's one of many services that do this, but it's sort of the most popular one. So we want to have people who come to our program have really nice GitHubs, because again, that signals to employers that you can actually do a job. It's not just theoretical knowledge. So we kind of, we looked around, we thought, what are the kind of projects that would really signal a person can, do the job? What are these projects that will show they can do a variety of different jobs, which is important, which are also not too hard to do. We don't want it to be like a cloud migration, which takes, 30 people and is a very massive job. We want it to be a project that shows that you could work on a cloud migration, but you don't have to spend 10 years figuring out how to do it before you could build the whole thing yourself, right? Because of course there's levels where you're designing features and things, and there's architecting, and it kind of goes up and up until like higher management roles. So we want to have projects that show you can work on a team. So these projects should kind of reflect the larger project, be a very scaled down version of that. And of course, once you understand what those projects are, you can just work backwards to what skills you need, right? What are the minimum set of skills that you can get there so that you're not being bogged down in theory, right? So I know a bunch of us probably have traditional backgrounds in STEM or computer science or whatever it happens to be, and you do know that when you go to a school, 95% of what you learned is not applicable to the job, right? And so while there are definitely benefits to training your mind to do lots of, like linear thinking, analytical reasoning, all this other stuff over quite a long period of time, you probably didn't need that much time to do it, and you can really cut down the skill set. So of course we have these projects that signal to employers, we have a skill set. Anyways, I'm just kind of telling you from the top down how we design the program. So hopefully it makes sense to you that this isn't just like we're going to get you a job or we're going to get you into tech. It's like we really work backwards from exactly what you need to do to get these positions. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of people are going to have lots of doubts about what if I don't have experience, what if I don't have a STEM degree, all those other things. I'll cover that later on. But the idea is that if you do have these projects, you really have a really good shot. I'm going to kind of keep moving here. So we're kind of thinking about programs that, if we create a program like this, does everybody still just need a 4-year degree? And so we found actually a lot of positions like this for junior DevOps. And I don't know who Rewind is in Ottawa. We have no affiliation with them, but you may or may not have a CS degree. And so we found a lot of people like this being like, we need DevOps people. We don't really care if maybe your background's in music or something like that, or whatever it happens to be, something unrelated, as long as you can do the job and you can demonstrate you can do the job to us. There's also a Harvard and Accenture report called Bridging the Gap, where they looked at um, skill sets in the US that would lead to good jobs that would be higher than average salaries that you don't need a formal 4-year education to get. And like IT, and especially IT, and the higher end of IT is probably DevOps, was on that list. So if you are interested, you don't have to kind of take it from me. You can check out, the Harvard and Accenture Bridging the Gap report. It was a study. It's a pretty long study, but it's a really interesting read, just about like looking at how they can take people who didn't have the opportunity to go to college because it's so expensive down there, right? But are clever people, hardworking people, how can they get those people to be really big contributors? And it's through the tech space and IT and then DevOps actually, which is pretty cool. Let's see, keep moving along here. Yeah, so basically we design these projects so that they would have a minimum skill set, and these projects would allow you to go after a whole range of jobs. DevOps is something that's really, really popular right now, and a lot of people are demanding that. But there's a whole wide range of skills that you could do if you have this certain core skill set, and we'll get to that in a second. So the way the program would work is that if you join the program, we do intensive learning, which is basically lots of videos. You can watch it at your own pace, and then we have a daily Q&A session, which is 1 hour, and basically you come with all your questions, and we just get you unstuck. Right, so just keep the ball moving. You have good momentum. Everybody gets in a program, and you really like. I don't know if this has ever been you, but you've started a program and you feel really excited about it and you're like really feeling ambitious, and then you get hit with, I don't know, whatever roadblock it is, and it maybe takes you down 5%, right? And then but you struggle through it and you get through the next one, and then you hit the next roadblock and that takes you down another 5%. And if you hit enough roadblocks and stuff like that, you're all of a sudden at like 30% of the energy that you came in with, and you're not really sure if you can do it and all those other things. We can't take the roadblocks out of your way, but what we can do is every day we can make sure you're making progress on your roadblocks. So, like part of learning is struggling through things. There's no way we can alleviate that for people, give people a magic pill and they know everything. That would be lovely, but obviously we can't do that. But what we can do is we can make sure that you don't have those kind of roadblocks that you're sitting on for a week and you're feeling like, wow, like I'm not really getting anywhere. So what we do is we do a daily Q&A where we have our students come out. There's 2 levels of it for people who are more advanced, people who are more junior, and we come out, we just talk about like everything they're working on. You can show us your code. I actually love to see people's code, and then we can kind of just get you unstuck so you keep moving, right? So each day you're like, oh, I'm struggling, but each day you also feel that reward of, oh, I took another step forward, I took another step forward. And you get to like kind of reflect on your progress after a month or something and be like, wow, like I really can actually do something now. And of course, again, because it's not theoretical, it's very much focused on being able to solve business application problems. You do get that feeling of like, wow, I'm not only am I just like learning something, but I'm actually learning something that could get me, a really good job eventually. So the idea is that we basically, for people who are totally brand new, we get you up to speed to be able to do like a 60K a year cloud job pretty quickly. It's going to be a junior cloud engineer, junior DevOps position, and you can do that pretty quickly. And that's going to be about 3+ months, depending on people's aptitude and how hard they work at it. And then what we've done is we've then linked that to all the very advanced skills that you need to get a senior DevOps position. Now, senior DevOps is going to be on the 150+ K range of this, so I maybe should update the slide. But entry level DevOps, or I guess to be DevOps proper, is kind of an intermediate level position. And then you're going to one of our students got 75K recently. So this is kind of where you're going to come in right at the middle level, depending on where you work, of course, and how much you're willing to travel and these kind of things. But yeah, so this is the way the program works, is that basically there's the two phases where we can take a beginner to somebody who can do the job at a, at a, you know, like at a level that they really know something, they can really accomplish something, but it's of course not senior, not going to be architecting. You're going to be working with a team to, let's say, write automation scripts and help smooth their workflow and make things more clean and efficient within a team. But you're not going to be, of course, managing a team. You can't go from 0 to 100, right? But then on top of that, you can keep learning your way up to these really high end skill sets. So yeah, so we've kind of broke it up 2 steps that way. Basically, we have an active learning phase, a internship phase, and a placement phase. Again, it's videos, it's the one-on-one every day. And of course, when people need more time, like, we give them more time. If you're interviewing for positions, we're of course going to prep you for your interview. If you need your resume reviewed, we're going to help you with your LinkedIn profile, like just all these things to make sure that there's no red flags that a recruiter is going to see and get rid of, like, not want to give you an interview, let's say. Because we've actually worked with a lot of recruiters. One of our founders has trained a lot of recruiters to be able to understand how to assess tech talent. So, a lot of recruiters, when they say, okay, I want you to hire me a DevOps engineer, a recruiter is going to be like, okay, I guess I'll learn that by Googling, because they're not tech people. They don't know what DevOps is. They're gonna start looking at it, but how far are they really gonna get on their own? And then how good are they gonna be at appraising you? So actually, one of our founders started off a webinar series just like this one for recruiters, where he would teach recruiters all about technology so they could better appraise resumes, right? So having that close collaboration with recruiters, we also know what the red flags are. And so we can help you take out the red flags, right? So we do it's a lot of things in the program that we kind of do work together. And so, yeah, so basically, this is just a quick survey about just this is high-end tech people like CEOs and like senior developers, just saying how much learning cloud skills help them increase their career. So because I know there's some people today who are very experienced, who maybe are thinking about, like, maybe you're a very experienced developer and you want to add on some cloud, you want to add on some DevOps. And yeah, these were just responded saying how it helped them out and whatnot. So very positive, of course. Let's see here. Yep. So the the flexible program schedule, it's about 3 to 6 months. We have a lot of videos. I think that's way above 30 hours now because we've been adding to it. Yeah. So we do an internship phase, which I should be getting to in a second, but we kind of do everything to just get you ready for a career, basically, because we're actually in the industry, and we hire people. We actually get contract work very often, and we just know what it takes, as opposed to you know having a textbook that we're going to teach you, which will, like lots of college courses, it's some interesting information, but did it really get you a job, right? College university courses. And of course, so once you join the program as well, there's no done date. You just stay in the program until you receive a position, right? It's like, if it's however long it takes, you just, yeah, we don't kick you out. It's not a course thing. It's not like, okay, after 2 months we're done, thank you for your money, goodbye. You can stay with us, keep learning, keep training, keep doing the projects until you get a position, keep applying. Like, we have your back until you get it. And then, as well, I'll cover the post-job support in a second. But after people get into the job, sometimes, you're going to feel a little bit like, hey, I really wish I had somebody who is a mentor, who could also help me while I'm in the position, so I stabilize and it's clear that my bosses know I'm doing a good job, et cetera, et cetera. So we also offer that as well. So yeah, so basically, so it's designed for success really with the cloud engineer and then a DevOps kind of position. That's our core focus. But of course, like I was saying before, you can take these skills, and with a little bit of tweaking, you can apply for a huge range of roles. This is kind of this is just the curriculum. We just recently changed around our path, so it's a very linear path. I'm going to just share that with you in a second here. I just a little bit of issues with my Zoom, so I'm just, yeah, there we go. Okay, great. So yeah, so basically, this is the learning path, one, and this is what we do with students before we send them out for junior DevOps positions. Excuse me. We also, this is also what we like to see students accomplish. Um, by the time, the students have accomplished this, As we get contract work through Be Cloud Ready, we can also do paid internships with students as well. Because by the time you're at the junior DevOps level, especially following this learning path, you actually really can solve problems that businesses care about, right? Like at this point, nobody needs to give you a certificate or anything. And we do offer certificates because I know some people do really care about certification, but you'll actually have seen business cases and you'll be able to solve them from the ground up yourself. It's kind of a really amazing feeling, and it's really cool to see students go from, learning Python fundamentals to all the way to like being able to solve a business problem. And at that point, like you're just employable and you can accomplish certain things, and the things are complicated, but at the same time, if you've done projects that build on each other, like you notice after we do Python, we're going to do a Python project. Then after we do Linux, we're going to do a Linux. This is a Linux project, but it's a Linux and Python project, right? After we do some ID fundamental stuff, now we're going to do some Linux automation because we understand a bit more about that system, and we kind of are flowing through this pathway. And the next thing we're going to do is this is after people have done the junior DevOps cloud. This is really the high end DevOps skills. These are the big buzzwords. These are the ones that if you can really do this stuff, people will pay you quite a lot of money, and this is basically like just like what Sonu was doing today, is he took a bunch of things that we could do manually and he automated them all inside of one Python script, which is really amazing, right? But there's even more powerful automation tools that are levels up that could take the script that he did today and deploy it across like hundreds of servers, right? To do it on hundreds of servers simultaneously and then monitor all those servers. And any of those servers go down or they crash for whatever reason, boot up a new server and then reroute traffic that are coming in to, let's say, one of these 100 servers. If the one goes down, reroute it to another one that's stable, and then connect to a database to make sure all the information is there. So you can just kind of keep adding on skills on top of it until you have, a huge amount of power. Like you have quite a lot of ability to manage very large and powerful systems. So yeah, it's pretty cool that you go through the different learning paths this way. And there we go. So yeah, so post training, we do resume building, targeted job search, interview preparation, retraining, and project work just continues. And this is what happens. So like once you're ready to go, we just really focus on these things. We keep, we're always gonna have more project work for you. And so this can be paid or unpaid project work. But if it's unpaid, it really will be focusing on learning. We're not asking for anybody to do free labor for us. It'll just if you're not on a paid contract right now through Be Cloud Ready, and you haven't found a job yet, then we'll just keep doing the learning and that will be the project work, right? Retraining is the exact same thing. If you haven't found a job yet, but you have these skills and we will get projects or we'll get contracts, then you'll be doing like a paid internship or just actually like working with us full time until you get something else that you want or you stay with us. It's kind of up to you kind of thing. And we do resume building, targeted job search, of course. So like targeted job search just means that you have to rewrite every application to suit the job, and on top of that to suit the employer's needs. So one person won't want DevOps that does, I don't know, focusing on Grafana, and one will want one that focuses on Kubernetes. And even if you know both, you might have to rewrite your thing. So this is what we help you with targeted job search. Say looking at a resume or looking at a job posting, how should you restructure your resume? Interview preparation, of course, and then so we do placement phase. So we've had some really good results, but within 3 months of graduating, we have 80% of our students placed. Within 6 months, it's 90%, and within 1 year, it's all of our students. So the market's really great, so that helps us out a lot. But it's good results. These are just some different, technical and non-technical previous careers who've joined us. And so, yeah, so it's self-paced videos. You come into our Slack channel, it's like a chat for developers. So you always can chat with us, live classroom series, one-on-one mentoring, internship projects, and placement services. As well, I'm just going to touch on for people who are worried about not having experience to get in the field. If you have the projects that show that you can do a job and you've worked on internships with us, we know you're good, and we're going to do our absolute best once you have some skills to make sure that you're on like live contracts so that you have skills, you're actually employed and working for us and working for other people. And on top of that, we're happy to give you a good reference as well. You know what I mean? So it's really like if you're worried about experience, this program will give you experience. And then what you do is, because you're going to be applying all the time, you'll be getting more experience until someone's like your resume clicks with somebody, then you're on, you're through the technical screen, you're through the interview, and you have a placement, you've placed, you've got a great job, you're very happy and everything like that. You'll just keep getting more experience. So again, don't worry about the experience part of it. It's something that is totally going to be covered. And so yeah, we do a 1 week money back guarantee. 100% risk-free. So the reason, so some people will do 30 days or whatever it happens to be. That's because you're just watching videos. If you join our program, it's going to be like at least 5 hours of our time. So you come to a Q&A every single day. It's an hour long. You can ask me questions. You can ask Sono questions. Other people will come by and teach certain ideas and things as well. So it really is, it's 5 hours live of our like live time for you to try it out. And then if it's not for you, then, absolutely no questions asked. Money back guarantee. But if you're thinking about it all and think this program might be good for you, just come out and try it for a week and get to know us a little bit and just see how see if I almost would like want to challenge people that if you come in with some idea of where you'd like to be in a week and then see where you are after 1 week and then decide if the program's right for you or not, you might be really happy with that. You might really be surprised. People do progress really, really quickly. So awesome. And so so here's the training, the fees. Of course, that's what people are wondering about. And so basically it's $1,000 a month for 3 to 6 months. It's the total program cost is, so I should maybe reword this a little bit so it's a little bit more clear. But the idea is that it's the total program cost is $3,000, and you can pay $500 a month for 6 months, or you can do $1,000 for 3 months. So the training, the reason that the person who put in 3 to 6 months is just to give an expectation of time, but the total program cost is $3,000. I will put our Teachable link in here, so you could just go to our Teachable page. You can see all of the different videos you'll have access to, and you have the option at the bottom of the page if you want to join the program directly through there. As well, I will give out my email and everything if people want to book a call with me. If you would like to, if you'd like to book a call with me, if you'd like to try it out for a while, anything like this, just let me know. And so, as I mentioned before, we do $1,000 per month of post-job Slack support. People generally only need this for a maximum of 3 months. But if you're going and if you're really interested in tech, that's a really great place to be. It's a great place to grow. Salaries are only going to go up as you mature in technology. You're going to cross six figures, no problem. So when you think about this, $1,000 per month for the first maybe 3 months to make sure that you do a really good job, your employer's happy with you, you're stellar. He's already like, oh wow, you really get it. Like you've been onboarded so successfully. So yeah, this is what we offer to people. The reason that we offered that at first, we offered it for free, but we realized that we're kind of, I guess I'm a bit of a bleeding heart, so we really try to help the people that we place, and we just couldn't do it for free, because we really want to give you our best, absolute best effort. So we thought that was fair, and yeah, that's kind of the whole structure of it. I will I think that let's see. So I'm just seeing Sonu, did you happen to share the Teachable link? Let's do that. I'm gonna just grab the Teachable link for everybody.
Yeah, go ahead and grab that. I don't have that on hand right now.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I think the DevOps website one is was the one we were doing about X number of months ago. So that's probably not the updated course page. Just for anybody who's curious, I will post into chat now the just get the link here. It's panelists. There we go. Yeah, great. So I'm just opening it up for questions at this point as well. That the last link in the chat there is you can kind of go to the course page, see all the videos you'll have access to. That's how people can register for the program. And I can take any kind of questions that people have. And you can ask technical questions about AWS as well if you'd like, or anything to do with the demo that we saw today. It doesn't have to be restricted to just the program. Yeah, and kind of just one more thing I'll touch on again is that people often ask about the kind of the worries that people often have is that they are really worried that they don't have a STEM degree, and that will that will kind of ruin their chances of being able to get in. And again, from the Accenture Harvard thing, you can also go on and like search for cloud engineer positions, and you'll see that often a STEM degree is very, very helpful. Don't get me wrong. And obviously a lot of people are going to want something that's even maybe closer to CS or whatever, math, CS, these kind of degrees. But there are positions out there, especially with startups. So the idea is that if you go to CIBC, then, or the big banks in Canada, and obviously the big tech companies down the States, they kind of can choose from all the different applicants, so they can kind of choose the most, rarefied applicants who just check all the boxes. But a lot of companies that are starting up that are funded, well-funded companies with people who are very, very competent at the helm, who already have a lot of experience in business and are really good technically, they just need somebody to get the job done for them. And because these skills are rare and very, very, very useful, it's just not going to matter so much. So you kind of just go for startups. And again, if you have a good GitHub profile and then you can talk about it in the interviews, then it's more than enough to compensate for a STEM degree. Not having any experience as well. This is why we've structured the program to have an internship phase. And the internship phase is, it can be used on your application in a variety of different ways. And once you have the skill sets and you're confident in your skill sets, and we're confident that you are, able to execute, we're happy to give you a good reference, and you can put that on your resume as experience. And yeah, that will work. That's that's enough. Because at the end of the day, it really is just about, there's two parts, right? It's, can you do the job? And once you know you can do that, well, that's check. And then the second part is, can you signal to a potential employer that you can do the job? And yeah, and so that's this. It's kind of two parts, right? In a lot of ways, people don't disentangle them. They only see, can I do the, if I can do the job, I'm going to have a job, and that's really not the case. It's like, if I can do the job, I also need to like signal to employers that get a job as two separate issues, and we treat them very separately in the course. Um, and in a lot of ways, it's sort of a, once you can do it, because obviously you don't want to promise anybody that you can do something you can't do. That would be inappropriate. But once you can do it, it really is a bit of a game of making sure that people will understand that you can do it, and they'll give you a chance to do it for their company. So yeah. See if we have any more questions. A lot of people as well very often ask about the course curriculum, so I'm just going to put that up one more time, because yeah, let's see here. Yeah, people are always wondering, if when you get in the program, what do you do? What's it going to look like exactly? And so we do start you off with Python. Oh, another couple things I'll say that I forgot to mention before is that if you join the program and you finish early because you have a bunch of skills, then we're not going to charge you as much money. So if you get in the program and you finish in, let's say, 2 months or 3 months or whatever, then then we're not going to charge you for the extra time. It's not a flat fee. It's a per month fee. So if you look at this, if you're, let's say, a beginner, or you're somebody who has some of these skills and you think, oh, I could really speed this up if I join the program, but you maybe don't have the mentorship, the guidance to have all the right projects, you don't know what the projects are, and, the resume skills and all those other things that are going to be helpful, just because, obviously having this program be helmed by somebody who has like 15 years of experience in DevOps really does let us have a lot of, knowledge. It's very useful to getting into the field. And somebody who's not, he's currently as well managing teams within the field in DevOps right now. So it's not like, it's not like he did it 5 years ago and now he's sitting around making training programs. Like, he also currently works full time in the field. So it's kind of a, yeah, it's kind of the best kind of information that you can get. So basically, anyways, if you join the program and you have some of these skills that you think really could speed it up. Like, I know probably a lot of people today who joined today, and I think they said that in the pool as well, have some AWS knowledge, right? Um, if you already know what EC2 is, S3, RDS, VPC, and you would be comfortable with those, well, then maybe you can just skip the whole AWS unit, and that just speeds up your career, their track and everything. So a lot of people, like, they think one of two things. They think that maybe the program really needs to be very, very structured and very, very linear. And we think that there absolutely should be a linear structure to it. But the thing is, if you can skip certain parts of it, you just get placed faster, right? And we're happy with that. You're happy with that. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to watch our videos in order. We just need you to have the ability to execute tasks. And those get combined in a linear fashion to do lots of projects. I think as well, I'm just going to say that I just see somebody mentioned like having a phone call. And so I think that Sonu added here a calendly.com link for me. And so basically we have a session, I believe it's 1 to 2 every day. We just changed it, so I'd have to check the time. But if you just click on that link, you can book like a call with us and other prospective students, and we can just kind of hear about your background. If you're like, oh, I know AWS, but I know a little bit of Python, but I'm not really confident. How long do you think the program will take me? These kind of ideas. I have a STEM degree. I don't have a STEM degree. These kind of things. Then we can talk about how long it should be until you're actually applying to jobs. So yeah. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I think I'm going to leave it there. But thanks so much for coming out with us today, guys, and we hope to see you soon.